Elden Ring is a massive and vast game that can be pretty overwhelming, whether you are a hardened Souls veteran or this is your first venture into any type of FromSoft game. I've recommended this game to many friends and some family members, and it's stuck with some of them, and others it hasn't clicked with. And for those that have not been able to stick with this game, almost overwhelmingly, it's because they feel overwhelmed. They walk through that door at the beginning, you see White Mask Vare, you take your first steps into Limgrave, and the world is just open before you. There's no waypoint pointing you where to go. It's very open-ended. There's not really a critical path to follow. And so they just get overwhelmed and stop. I'm Bonfire, and if you are feeling overwhelmed by this game, it is my goal to strip away all the cruft and just give you a few beginner tips to help you enjoy this game and make your life a little easier. My first piece of advice, if you are feeling overwhelmed or just out of your depth at the beginning of this game, is just to not fight the big tree boy. And that's going to be a key theme for a lot of this game. You might come across an enemy, a boss, some sort of encounter that just feels wildly out of your reach. And that's because it is out of your reach. Now, I will be clear, this entire game can be beaten at level 1 using nothing but your fists. And that's a massive, massive challenge. You can go find plenty of YouTube videos out there where people do that. But something to keep in mind is if you are feeling frustrated, you're feeling overwhelmed, you can just run away and come back. So I would recommend just running past him, running to the little broken down church, resting at the site of grace, and starting your journey from here. Next, there is just the simple thing of learning how your map works. Once you open your map for the first time, you'll get a couple notifications that pop up to tell you about it, but it'll be covered in a bunch of fog. You will not have vision, you will not be able to see anything, and that's as intended because there are map pieces all over the game that you pick up. And what it does is it reveals the map slowly to you. Another great thing this game does is it actually tells you and shows you on your map, even if it's unrevealed, where these map pieces can be found. So what you need to do is just open your map like this. And if you see a little obelisk icon, you can either scroll over to it and mark it, or you can just run straight to it. And you will see on the ground next to a giant obelisk, a small map. Pick up that item and the map will be revealed to you. It's as simple as that. Not all of them are revealed on the map, but the majority of them in the game you can find by this method. Right after you go get the map piece I just showed you how to get, I would recommend going and sitting at the site of grace right at the base of the giant gate. What this will do is start an encounter with Melina, who will give you an item to summon Torrent. Torrent is your mount. It is your way of traversing the world. It has a double jump. It allows you to jump up these massive, massive wind vortexes. I just learned recently you can also jump down them as well with Torrent, so that's pretty cool. But I would go sit here, get your Spectral Steed, and this will allow you to traverse the map much, much, much quicker. After you get Torrent, what I would recommend you do, if you haven't already, is run around and kill a bunch of stuff until you have at least 300 runes. Or get more, it's your life, I don't care, do whatever you want. But after you get at least 300 runes, what I would do is open your map and teleport back to the Church of Ella. Once you're through the loading screen, it should be nighttime, and you will see a creepy, or cool, depending on your vibe, looking blue person with a gigantic hat sitting on some rubble. Go over and talk with them, and after they reveal who they are and you exhaust their dialogue, they will give you the Spirit Calling Bell. This is a super, super cool item that allows you to summon in spirit ashes throughout the game. So if you look on the left-hand side of the screen right now, you will see a small little tombstone. At least I think that's what the icon is, a little tombstone. Anytime you see that, you can use the Spirit Calling Bell to summon in spirit ashes. At the very beginning, when you receive this bell, you're given some wolves, as you can see here. But as you progress throughout the game, you'll unlock more and more and more and more, even unlocking the infamous Mimic Tier. If you want to know what that is, or you don't know what that is yet, go look it up. You can make some nutty builds using the Mimic Tier. This is a great way to enhance your experience, or if you're struggling with bosses or encounters, this is a great way just to get a little help. Now, before you leave the Church of Ella, go talk to Kale. This is where all those runes I told you to gather are going to come in handy, because once you open up his inventory, you will see that you can purchase a crafting kit for 300 runes. This is a fantastic item. It allows you to craft so many things, from arrows to things to help you negate status effects to the items that you need to summon other people into your game. This is a fantastic, fantastic item. I would recommend you use the crafting system because it provides you with so many cool ways to play the game. Something that I wrestle with when it comes to any type of FromSoft game, and I've talked about this in previous videos, is decision paralysis. There are so many weapons and spells and abilities and just various combinations of all the above that I never know what I want to do. I get in my head that I need to start min-maxing instead of just having fun. So that can be overwhelming. It can be hard to figure out what you want to do. And my recommendation, if you don't know how to allocate your stats, would just be to get your health to at least 20 or 30. That gives you a good solid base for not getting one shot by a lot of the early game bosses. And then look at your weapon. What weapon are you using currently? Do you think you're going to use it for much longer? And see how the scaling works. Every single weapon has a different type of scaling. Some have just one single form of scaling. Some have multiple. Some have many. So if you're looking to increase the damage of the weapon you're using by leveling up, but you don't know which stat to put points into or how heavily those stats are weighed, you can just go into the level up screen, and when you highlight over each individual stat, it'll show you what it increases. So if you see here, I go back and forth between dexterity and strength. By putting points into dexterity, it increases the damage of my weapon more than it does. Actually, here, it doesn't increase my damage at all by putting points into strength. But this is a great way if you're confused about how stats work or what increases your damage of your current weapon, how to allocate your stat points. Another way to increase the damage with your weapon and actually increase the scaling value of many of the weapons is just to level up the weapons. You'll collect smithing stones all throughout the game, and you use these to level up your weapons, your staves, your shields, all the great things in the game that allow you to deal out massive amounts of damage. One of the most useful and frankly overpowered items in all of Elden Ring is the Flask of Wondrous Physic. It's an item that allows you to mix and match different effects to whatever your playstyle is. It can be just an extra healing potion. You could add damage reduction. You could add replenishing your mana. You could add any sort of buff you can possibly think of. There's even one that just straight up makes you explode and do damage to everything around you. It's freaking cool. To get it, you're going to need to head to Western Limgrave. Just follow this path here. Even though my map is fogged up here, as you can see, just take the path to Northwest Limgrave and it will take you straight to the church, where inside the church you will find here, sitting on a small stone pedestal, the Flask of Wondrous Physic and the description of how to use it at a site of grace. Lastly, but probably the number one reason why people I've talked to have not been able to stick with Elden Ring is just not knowing where to go. It's open-ended, like I said earlier in the video. There's no critical path. There's so many different ways you can go right from the beginning. It can feel overwhelming and you could feel lost. If you find yourself in that situation, open your map after you've found a site of grace and you'll see little golden paths. Just follow those. Those act as kind of waypoints pointing you to more sites of grace. This can be extremely helpful if you find yourself in a situation where, again, you feel lost, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do. Just follow those. I have loved every single second that I've been able to spend making videos for this channel. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe because I'm always uploading new tips and tricks. I am uploading various rants or essays, or just subscribe if you like hearing my voice crack all the time in these videos. I thought about taking that out, but you know, that's who I am. It happens. There you go. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.